It all comes down to this. The final match day in the Europa League is this Thursday. Will your team be moving on to the knockout stages or will they be eliminated? That's what I'm going to be telling you guys in today's video. In today's video, I'm going to be predicting the match day 8 games in the Europa League phase and predicting which teams will advance to the knockouts and which teams sadly won't be making it through. As always, if you agree with my predictions, remember to leave a comment down below. But if you disagree with my predictions, remember to leave your predictions down below and I'll be sure to reply to every single comment. As you know, I am currently running a $50 Amazon gift card giveaway on my Champions League prediction videos. So if you haven't watched that video, go predict the Champions League games and you may have a chance to win a $50 gift card. But without further ado, let's get right into these predictions. Starting off with the first match, we have Aston Villa against Salzburg. To be honest, I kind of underrated Salzburg a little bit in the last match against Basel because I predicted them to lose because I think they have not been having a good campaign. But at home, they didn't look too bad. But playing at Villa Park, I don't think there's any chance that Salzburg win this game. Yes, Aston Villa so far in the last month, they haven't been performing the best, but in the last match day against Fenerbahce, they were absolutely incredible. They were playing away from home, and yes, they didn't have majority of the possession, but on the counterattack, they looked very dangerous. But now playing at Villa Park, I can only see Aston Villa winning this game, and I think this will be a very comfortable win for them. I'm going to predict Aston Villa to win 3-1. Moving on to the next game, we have Basel against Victoria Pilsen. Victoria Pilsen have just secured a spot in the top 24 even if they lose this game. But on the other hand, Basel currently sit in 27th place, and after losing 3-1 against Salzburg, they need to win this game if they want to advance. But sadly for Basel, I don't think they're going to be able to do it. Victoria Pilsen so far in this Champions League have been the best team defensively. They've only conceded 3 goals in their first 7 matches. Their defense has been absolutely incredible. And even though Basel have the home advantage, I'm going to predict this game to end in a 1-1 draw and Basel will be eliminated. Moving on to the next game, we have Celtic against FC Utrecht. FC Utrecht have already been eliminated from the competition. There's no way that they can advance to the knockout stages. But Celtic, on the other hand, currently sit in 24th place with 8 points. And if they fail to win this game, they could possibly be eliminated. But with that being said, I do think they will be able to win. If you look at them in their last match against Bologna, they were down to 10 men for a majority of that match, and yet they still finished with a 2-2 draw. I will say Bologna towards the end of the game did have a lot of chances to score, but Celtic were pretty good defensively. They were holding it down and they ended up getting a draw. Like I mentioned, so far this season, Celtic haven't been the best at scoring goals. I don't think they've been as good as they've been in previous years. And for me, the key for them in this game is to score early on. We saw against Bologna when they scored in the 6th minute, and that made it very, very hard for Bologna to come back and score goals. And in this game, if they score early on, I think they will 100% win this game. FC Utrecht haven't been that convincing at all in any of their games. So with that being said, I'm going to predict a 2-0 win for Celtic. Moving on to the next match, we have FCSB against Fenerbahce. FCSB have a very, very slight chance to make it into the top 24, but realistically, their chances are very, very low. They currently have 6 points when Celtic in 24th place has 8 points, but in 23rd place is Young Boys with 9 points. So pretty much the only place that FCSB can get into is 24th place, but realistically, I just don't see it happening. And even though we saw Fenerbahce struggle to score in the last match against Aston Villa when they had so many chances, FCSB have been one of the worst teams defensively in this competition. They've conceded one of the most goals, so I don't think it will be a problem for Fenerbahce to score goals. I'm going to predict a 2-1 win for Fenerbahce. Moving on to the next game, we have FC Midtjylland against Dinamo Zagreb. FC Midtjylland have been very good so far in this Europa League, but in their last match against Brann, they finished with a 3-3 draw. And coming into this game, they do have a couple injuries that they may need to be worried about. But I just don't think that Dinamo Zagreb have been that convincing so far in this Champions League. Now, I will say in recent matches, FC Midtjylland have been conceding a lot of goals. And for that reason, I do think that Dinamo Zagreb could possibly score multiple goals against them. But with that being said, I do still think FC Midtjylland will win this game with the home advantage. I'm going to predict that Midtjylland will win this game 3-2. Moving on to the next game, we have Porto against Rangers. Rangers are one of the other teams that have already been eliminated from the Europa League, and I will say that recently they've been incredible. I think they've won each of their last 6 or 7 matches in a row, but earlier on in the season, they were so poor. Defensively, they were conceding so many goals. In the attack, they couldn't even thread passes together. And yes, recently they have looked much better. Their squad looks better, but against Porto at home, I don't see any way that Rangers win this game. Porto didn't have the best result against Victoria Pilsen, and once again, we see it very hard to score against Victoria Pilsen, as like I already mentioned, they've been the best team defensively in this Europa League. But with the home advantage, playing against a Rangers side who, yes, have been very good in recent games, but still have some frailties defensively and are also suffering with a lot of injuries. I'm going to predict a 3-0 win for Porto. Moving on to the next game, we have Red Star Belgrade against Celta Vigo. Both of these teams have qualified to the knockout stages, and this game is pretty much a game where they will try to get into the top 8. Now, realistically, I don't see either of these teams making it to the top 8 because I think this game is going to end in a draw. Red Star Belgrade are a very strange team because they don't concede a lot of goals, but they also don't score a lot of goals. In the top 20, they've scored the least amount of goals compared to all the other teams. So in this game, I might go for a 0-0 draw. You know what? Let's be a little bit generous. 0-0 is a little bit boring. Let's go for a 1-1 draw. Moving on to the next match, we have Genk against Malmo. Once again, Malmo are another team that have already been eliminated from this competition. And to be 100% honest, they've been very poor. They've lost almost every single game they play. And Genk, we've seen them play both at home and also away, and they seem to play pretty well in majority of Europa League matches they play. In the last match, they got a very convincing 2-0 win against Utrecht, and playing against Malmo, I do think Genk will win this game. And that will be really good for them because if they win this game, they will finish in the top 8, making it straight to the round of 16, which will really help a team like Genk. So for that reason, I'm going to go for another 2-0 victory for them. The next game we got is Go Ahead Eagles against Braga. Go Ahead Eagles are pretty much eliminated from this competition. It's a very low chance for them to make it into the knockout stages. And Braga, on the other hand, they've been pretty good. They've been surprising in my opinion. They've been very good defensively. They've been able to score multiple goals in majority of games they play, and their current form is pretty good as well. We saw them get a good 1-0 win against Nottingham Forest where they defended very well. They got the goal and it was a classic snatch and grab. And with that being said, against Go Ahead Eagles, I'm going to predict Braga to win this game 2-1. Moving on to the next game, we have Lille against Freiburg. Freiburg currently sit in 3rd place, but Lille, on the other hand, sit in 21st place. And if they fail to win this game, they do have a fairly good chance to be eliminated from the Europa League. And if you look at their current form, they are not performing good. They've lost all 4 of their last 4 matches. They have not been performing good. They're struggling to score, and also they've been conceding a lot of goals, as they've conceded 9 goals in their last 4 matches. And against a team like Freiburg, who can score multiple goals in every game they play, I can only see Freiburg winning this game. I do think Lille, with a home advantage, will be able to score, but once again, I'm going to predict a 2-1 victory for Freiburg. Moving on to the next game, we have Ludogorets against Nice. Nice, man. They've been so disappointing, already eliminated in the first round, and they've been so poor in the Liga as well. I just don't see them winning this game at all. And Ludogorets, on the other hand, they currently sit in 25th place, and they need to win this game to advance to the knockout stages. I 100% see Ludogorets winning this game. I don't see Nice being able to score, and I think it's going to be a 2-0 win for Ludogorets. Moving on to the next game, we have Lyon against PAOK. This is definitely going to be a very interesting game. Obviously, Lyon currently sit in 1st place with 18 points, and they've been incredible in this Europa League. They sit above Aston Villa on goal difference. But PAOK, on the other hand, yes, they're sitting in 12th place, but they've been really surprising. I think they've been able to score a lot of goals in this competition, having already scored 15 in only 7 games, and their last win was a very good game. They won 2-0 against Real Betis, and to be honest, it could have probably been 3 or 4, and the way that they were defending Real Betis, limiting them to poor quality shots. Yes, Real Betis had almost 20 shots, but they were all very low quality shots. They didn't have any big chances, and that is definitely down to PAOK's great defense. Yes, PAOK do defend very well, and for that reason, I think this will be a very low scoreline, but I'm going to go for a 1-0 win for Lyon. Moving on to the next match, we have Maccabi Tel Aviv against Bologna. Last place Maccabi Tel Aviv, they have been so shit in this Champions League. They've been so disgraceful. Now, obviously, with some of the current political situations that's going on in the Middle East, Maccabi Tel Aviv don't have the home advantage, and they are playing in a neutral ground in Serbia. And with that being said, that has definitely hindered them so far in this Europa League. But in this match coming up against Bologna, I don't see any way that Maccabi Tel Aviv get the win. Bologna will make it to the knockout stages, but the chances of them making it in the top 8 are very low. But I still think they will win this game, and I think it will be a comfortable win as well. I'm going to predict 3-0 to Bologna. The next game we got is Nottingham Forest against Fenerbahce. With the home advantage, you would suspect that Nottingham Forest would win this game, but they're suffering from a few injuries, and also one of their star players, Elliot Anderson, will be suspended for this match. I can see Fenerbahce getting a snatch and grab. It's going to be very tough, but I'm going to predict a 1-0 win for Fenerbahce. The next game we got is Panathinaikos against Roma. If you look at them in their last 5 matches, they haven't won an away match in their last 3 games, but the 2 home games they played, they were incredible and they scored 3 goals in both games. And with that being said, they are playing at home in this game, and I think that's a really big advantage. Roma, yes, they are on good form, and in their last 5 matches, they've won 4 out of 5. But for some reason, with the home advantage, I can see Panathinaikos getting a slight win over Roma. I think it's going to be a very close game, but I'm going to predict a 2-1 win for Panathinaikos. Moving on to the next game, we have Real Betis against Feyenoord. This is another very interesting game as both of these teams are very high quality teams, but Feyenoord did not have a good start to their season in both the Eredivisie and also in the Europa League, as if they don't win this game, they will most likely be eliminated. Now, one thing I gotta say is both of these teams have so many injuries in the defense, the midfield, and the attack. Both of these teams are suffering from loads and loads of injuries. So realistically, the quality of football that we will see in this game most likely won't be the best from either team. And with that being said, I'm gonna go for a 1-1 draw. I don't think either team will be able to get the 3 points. Moving on to the next game, we have Sturm Graz against Brann. Brann currently sit in 22nd place, and to be honest, they've been pretty surprising to me in this tournament. I would love it for them to make it to the knockout stages. Coming up against Sturm Graz, who haven't been good in recent games, I do think Brann could get a result. Brann need to get this win, and even though Sturm Graz have the home advantage, they've already been eliminated from this competition. There's no way that they can make it to the knockout stages. And with that being said, I do think Brann will be able to win this game. I'm going to predict a 2-1 win for Brann. And finally, the last match is Stuttgart against Young Boys. I think this game is only going to go one way because Stuttgart in recent matches, yes, they did lose against Roma, but other than that, in the Bundesliga, they've been pretty good and they've been able to score multiple goals in almost every single match. And if you look at Young Boys, they currently sit near the bottom of the top 24 and they've lost every single game in their last 5 matches. They have not been good recently at all. And if they lose this game, they will most likely go out. But with their poor form recently, I don't see any way that Young Boys will win this game. Young Boys have conceded 15 goals in their last 5 matches. That's an average of 3 goals in every single game. And with that being said, Stuttgart are definitely a team that can punish you if you're not on it defensively. So for that reason, I'm going to predict a 3-0 win for Stuttgart. And that's the end of this video. Those were my Europa League predictions for the 8th match day in the league phase. As always, if you guys agree with my predictions, remember to leave a comment down below. But if you disagree with my predictions and you think there are going to be a few upsets in the last match day of the league phase, remember to leave your predictions down below. Remember to go comment on my Champions League prediction video for a chance to win a $50 giveaway. And as always, if you enjoyed this video, remember to leave a like, comment, subscribe, all that good stuff, and stay tuned for more videos.